Good afternoon and welcome to Beyond the Lines podcast. I'm your host, Nikki Watson, and I am here with a very special guest, Grace Asagra. You know her as the Quantum Nurse. She has a podcast on Rumble, and I'm so excited. How are you, Grace?
Very well, and I am really excited too. And nice meeting you, Nikki. And thank you for having me.
Yes, it's so wonderful to have you. I love your show. I've watched a number of your live streams, and you always bring something interesting to the table. And I'm so thankful that you came on to chat with me today. Um, our mutual friend XF is sort of I've been following his work for a number of years, and you've always spoken so highly of him. And I just love whenever you have him on your show and such. So I thought it would be awesome if we could get together and chat.
Yes, yes, yes. And he's really our link. He's my
Yeah.
link to you. And truthfully, and since you are in his field, you are in his platform, and I can feel the respect that he shares with you as well as the respect you share with him. So I have no option but because I can feel that as well, and that's why I trust you and I trust this live stream. And thank you for this platform.
Me too. Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you. And the feeling is very mutual. I can feel that love and respect as well. And I appreciate that so much. So yeah, I always look forward to what you have to share. And so did you where did you first come across XF's work? And then was it sort of around the same time that you started your podcast, or what kind of prompted that? And then because you are a registered nurse, actually. Yeah. So
I still keep that title, and I still pay my license so that I could have maybe that professional credibility if I had to say anything about that. But actually, I'm still working on my own as a holistic nurse, and that's why it's important to keep that. Now, how did I get to know XF? It's really through, it's a little, I think a little over a year after I started the Quantum Nurse podcast. And that's through Matt Ehret, when he became a guest of Matt Ehret. So, and how did I get in touch with or connected with Matt Ehret is because he was a guest, and he was speaking about during that scandemic time. So when I heard him, and then so I connected with him right away, I knew I can feel that he is good for our podcast. And then when I saw XF in his, it took me a little while to invite him because it's like, wow, he's
yeah,
really, he presents that energy
yeah,
that
yeah,
it may be hard to get him.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know you know
yeah.
and then of course it took me, so I think several months, and then finally I said, let me ask Matthew, to if I could get his contact, if what is the best way. And so, and Matthew also said he's very busy, so
Yeah,
he might be difficult. So, but and nevertheless, I said, even if XF doesn't know me, what would I lose? He doesn't know me, so if he
yeah,
says he can't come, it's okay.
yeah,
So I just reached out to him through the telegram, and that was like the beginning. If it's my choice, I would always have him just as frequently as you do,
yeah,
except that I know I he has a time preference, and I
yeah,
understand that. And I do have a time preference because, in this work, it's most important to take care of ourselves.
yeah,
So my first few hours when I wake up in the morning is really for myself,
yeah,
because there's so much that when you give yourself, even not in person, you really give all of your being and your frequency. So, but I'm happy that I could always listen to him. And, when he's doing his live stream, that's almost every day and in many off hours. Think last night I feel kind of feel for him. I said, wow, that's 12 o'clock midnight in his time. Yes. So
Exactly. Yeah,
that's
it's been,
how it started to connect with him.
and then he started the Love and the Apocalypse channel that he streams other interesting topics on. And I had originally saw him on Instagram, so I had come over to
I see.
Telegram from Instagram. Yeah, a
I
number of years ago now. It's been, yeah, I guess 5 years now, since it really all started. When they,
Nice, nice. I'm not that good in Instagram.
yeah,
Now and then I would do Instagram, or I try to be good at it, and I
yeah,
don't know, for some reason. I also think because most of my family members are in Facebook, and
um,
before even everything else happened, they were really the ones who made me create my first Facebook account. So for me, that's the way the Filipinos connect. So I connect with them through that. Yes.
yeah, yeah. I saw some of your Facebook there. I'm on Facebook too personally. I have a small group that I share some information with about local stuff, but just sort of started to connect about 2 or 3 years ago. Just made a small group to connect with people in my area, share ideas, and talk about what was going on. There was a lot going on with the school closures and the mask mandates and the sort of having to advocate on a local level. And so I found doing that. But Facebook is sort of has become, I don't know if you feel that way, but I just didn't want to promote things on my personal page of any political stuff, because it's almost like you only get the negative comments from people. So I don't really, I like certain things on Facebook, but Telegram's been really helpful. I mean, I've done Instagram for a long time, but but um but yeah. And are you on X at all?
Yeah, I'm an ex, but again, for some reason, I mean, I can connect with people in X, but
Yeah.
I don't know much how to make it really like big or something. So
Yeah.
and I don't have a lot of time to really keep thinking on how can I
Yeah.
attract more. So it's like I naturally just let things happen. And if my guest or whoever connects with me would like to, share or anything, I'm okay with that. So it takes a lot of time,
It
and
does.
so what is really my objective? If I'm spending a lot of time and it will stress me out,
Yeah.
then that wouldn't be good for what I present, because I always say, I said, your health, your sanity, your clarity begins with you. So and that, so I don't know, so yeah. But it's slowly, when some guests would even follow me lately, and so I'm just quite excited with that. And sometimes some people would say, hey, can you stream on mine? Sometimes in there, well, it unless they're my guest, if I'm just thinking that if you care to have a lot, then maybe you should also show me how to do that, instead of
Right.
like, just stream on mine. So it should be like an equal exchange
Yeah.
of energy, for that matter,
Yeah.
right? And but talking about the Facebook, yeah, I did get I had to recreate my Facebook again lately, because I I got shadow banned, and even now, but I almost didn't want to do it again, but
Yeah.
again, that's where my family is, so I.
Right.
But the one that I did not recreate anymore is YouTube, because in 2021 I lost already my YouTube with over 1,000 followers at that time, because I started a podcast on 2020, and right away in 2021 that's all gone, you know. And I
Yeah.
know how they work, that even if you do anything now from those years, if they didn't censor you, or didn't take you down for those years,
Yeah.
it will generate in their AI algorithm, and yeah, that's it. However, I noticed, Nikki, that during that pandemic, they weren't taking down a lot of the geopolitical conversations. They
Oh,
were, from my observation, but anything that you talk about the jab,
yeah.
you will right away take it down. So that was then, of course, when Ukraine and Russia war happened. That's when I noticed that, oh, there's another priority.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Sometimes we say that the SMO cured the pandemic. Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's all. Life is very interesting.
it
It's,
is.
and when they do that, it kind of reminds me of when I first came to United States. Suddenly coconut oil, coconut water was so popular.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
it's like the theme is like the
Yeah.
superfood, like that. Then after a couple of years, avocado was so popular. So
Yeah.
I know so I know that when things are getting so popular, something is generating, or some, however they're pushing something. So
Yes.
that's the same thing as when I listen to geopolitical topics. So I take a pause and side. But the interesting with this thing, when it comes to tropical superfoods, when I go home, they usually ask me, so is it true that they really like coconut water there? I said, is it true? I said, yes, yes, it's true. yeah, it's, yeah, yeah, but it's just, anyway, that's it. That's it for now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah, I see what you mean. And the yeah, so the have you gotten your YouTube where you offered it back? I know that was
No,
no,
no, I
okay.
did hear. Yeah, and I don't think I wanted to, because you never know when they will, it will change again. So what I did when that happened, that's when I already ventured in Rumble, and every little situation that I'm in Odyssey, someone says, hey, maybe you want to try this. I said, okay. It doesn't matter if I just have a few followers in that platform. All I know is it's in number of places.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I think I like collaborating with other people, because
Yeah.
that was also how I was thinking with how I will do such podcasts is, people should come together.
Hmm.
And I like that. I like that energy when people come together, especially that those with you can have that coherence together, you
Yeah.
know? Right. So
Yeah. Yeah, it helps with the promote with the like sort of promotion, but also yeah, just bringing people together too that are of like minds, and the conversations, the synergy of the conversations.
correct. And I don't even mind if people ask me their MP4 or MP3.
Yeah.
I just give it to them, because for me, the content and the conversation is most important.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting how some of my friends who they're not really in the podcast world, but
Yeah.
because there are advertisements, they always think I'm getting a lot of money.
Ah, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I look very wealthy to them.
Yeah, it's like yeah, there you have to yeah, there's a lot that has to happen to receive any money from the content.
Yeah, and that they people don't know that you pay a lot in every platform,
Yeah,
So, and other than not paying yourself.
totally. Yeah,
For
it
the,
is a labor of love. That is for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Are you still on Odyssey and or BitChute?
Yeah, I'm in BitChute. Before I was in Rumble, I was already in BitChute. Then
Okay.
I do really like the Rumble, and then I'm in Odyssey, and I'm in Brighteon as well.
Oh yeah.
There was another one that I ventured, but they limit the time. I said no, I can't, because they did just like 30 minutes or something, 45. So I said, "Oh, that's not going to be good for me, a platform."
Yeah.
There was even a time that the local TV network in New York, because I was the Filipino TV network in New York, once had me to talk about indigenous Filipino medicine. So then they offered me if I want to stream or upload my podcast there. But again, they're very limited with the time. So uh, I'm not, I don't know, I don't edit things. And
Right.
I would,
Yeah. We need, yeah.
so it's like, yeah. So whatever comes my way
Yeah.
that I am able to do without much help from others, that's when I know that God's source said, do this.
Yeah.
This is for you. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I started doing a little bit on Substack, just playing around with that, and that's like the, but it's a whole new learning curve with a new platform, or like you said, is this worth it because you can't go over the limit. And it's funny because when XF was having all that trouble with Telegram, and he's still having trouble with it, but I don't know if maybe it's resolved a little bit. But I made the joke like, are we all moving to Twitter? Are we all moving to X now? Do I have time to pack my bags? Because wherever, I mean, if he, I mean, I'm really on Telegram too a lot. I do like the platform for the most part, of the way that it doesn't have copyright stuff. You can just share stuff and clips and stuff like that. And it's user friendly for the most part. But if he were to go like exclusively on a different platform or something, that's probably what I would do. I just find so much synergy in his work and the things that he's talking about. And I mean, he has such a breadth of information, that the geopolitics, that's his expertise. But also, what I have found so fascinating was that he just gives so much, just like that breadth of information to really understand other people's frame of reference and lived experiences. Like, I just woke up to politics when they shut schools down, and like, I had no idea. I mean, I knew of politics obviously, but I really wasn't realizing that I mattered in the scheme of politics. And but he just brought so much of that to trying to understand where other people are coming from, because I sort of just always took that, definitely the medical freedom and the advocacy of like, well, this isn't right, this seems pretty unconstitutional, or like, this isn't what people want, this isn't fair, or whatever. And then just wanting to ask the questions and such. So he just, so he just brought a lot of that breath in, and helps to see different perspectives of what people are going through. But what I was meaning to say about medical freedom, but also the Trump perspective, as having a solution, a political solution, really. And like working with an elite that want to work for the people, rather than an elite that's working against the people. So how did you sort of integrate maybe like some of the concepts that XF talks about with the things that your expertise and your experience with health and caring for people and wellness and such?
Well, I just want to say that when you said it was in 2020 and during that time and the lockdown for the schools, it was perfect timing. It seems like that was just a perfect time where people could really give that, push that, and suddenly we all realize that there's more to life than our own comfortable day to
Yeah.
day. Because even for me, um, I came to United States with an understanding of politics, but
Yeah.
not to that depth and extent that I understand now. So it was also like I was just again comfortable with my own self like that. Now, when because I've always had that indigenous foundation of holism, so even when it comes to health, anything, I always think that it is always beyond what I think or what I may see. So when XF talks about certain, he could practically, for me, he could talk about anything
Yeah.
and everything. He may not, he doesn't say, okay, that's, I'm an expert in everything, but he will always have those ideas that kind of led me to really explore more, and then, or feel sense. And then for me, that's most important, when I can feel sense that
Yeah.
this man, this gentleman, who for me, he's like a hidden gem, it's like gold of information, is saying things that in resonance to my being. That
Yes.
basically is like, I have this field of, that's, I say, my quantum morphogenetic field,
Yeah.
that there are informations that's coming to me, to all, but I want that information, and that people who can get entrained in my field, that in resonance with a higher field. So that I sense with him.
Yeah.
And so when I really realized also that he had this love apocalypse, I said, see, I'm happy with that. And and also, I've never, I know I have one or two more that I look into the Telegram, but nothing like, he has his music,
Yeah.
he has his
Right.
poetry there.
Right.
So that's all matters to me, because
Yeah.
we're multidimensional.
Yeah.
So when we look at certain thing, for me, I said, so everything, when I pay attention, when he says things, who he shares things, and I don't know, one has to experience when, and listen, or be in his Telegram, because and have their own, let's say, their own interaction with him. Then they don't have to take our word for it. They have, each of us now have to do our own study, right? And that's what Drago Bosnick's message last time with me is, everyone should do their self-study, not even the self-education in formal school, but your own study. So I hope that, that was good with your question for that.
Yeah.
That I'll say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anything with, whether it's Trump, whether, more
Yeah.
so now that, everything is, everyone could search, could express themselves, and which one really is the truth. And now
Right.
everyone has their own truth, but is the truth that leads us to further, like, our own personal evolution, somewhere down the line, between, beyond our 3D, beyond the lines, as you said.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it, is that the sense, like, it makes sense, and the resonance, it resonating. And I always thought that if people could just hear, because when you hear truth, or something to be true, and you hear it, it resonates with you. You get maybe goosebumps, or the light bulb goes off, or you just are like, uh-huh, like that. Oh, it's almost like you're hearing, and it's not like an echo chamber, confirmation bias sort of a thing. It's almost like a, like, I, I, it's almost like it's your idea in a way, or it's almost like it's something within you that to be true anyway, and you're hearing it said. And
Yeah,
I always thought that if people could just hear
yeah,
these things, or hear the truth, then they would know it, and then they would be encouraged and empowered and motivated, to to align with that, and maybe not be so angry, or have so much emotion, especially during such a, for some people, a divisive time, on, especially, there's, and I always sort of do this, where it's like in real life versus what we see online. And it's interesting, I think, when you look at both of those things together. What is happening online? Is it a representation of how people actually feel? What are people going through and their lived experiences related to what we're just seeing politically with like the economy and healthcare and these things that are really important to people, but are also very much in everybody's face all the time if they go online. And I mean, I'm like a nerd, like I focus on these things also. So maybe I also have like a bias, of course, because I'm looking at this stuff all the time and trying to connect the dots for other people, and then maybe holding that vision and then like hoping it'll like float their way. Whoever that may be, just people that need or want just more ideas. I feel like, and I would love to hear your experience, but in the United States, I mean, growing up, I've always been sort of a spiritual, philosophical person, questioning the big meanings of things and why are we here and what's this all about, and just always, ever since I was little, having these really big questions. And what I've learned now, looking back on my education and my upbringing, is that everything was really, there was no synergy in a way. Like in some cases, I guess I could make the argument that there was, but in school, everything is sort of siloed. There wasn't this whole holistic thing. And just the idea, or just, I mean, with mathematics and science being related to, God and things like that, that's all that used to be more together, whereas everything gets siloed. And so, yeah, so I do think, like, as you talked about, the 2020 was like a perfect time, but it was sort of this, like, where the light bulb was going off and we were firing on all cylinders, like, like it's all sort of coming together. So, but as I'm exploring more of that of myself, I'm realizing like, oh, maybe others would benefit, or maybe other people are having a similar experience as I am, and things would make sense if it was put this way, maybe.
It's interesting that when I came to United States, and that was in 1985, so I landed in New York. First, my concept of my imagination of New York was a little different. When I say that, and I ended up part in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the buildings. Uh, my imagination is I'm going to like a little house in a prairie
Okay.
image. And I'm in this building with, like, for me it's like bird cages with all the
Yeah.
windows. So that's what I says. Oh my goodness, I felt very isolated already, coming from just a small urban city in Legazpi, and that's near the ocean. So it was really like a shock to me. Like, wow, people live in all this, and they also seem like, even if they live in one building, they're not really close to each other.
Yeah.
So that was like my. However, I think again it carries like from my being in touch at home, that there's always a guidance for me beyond our search for like work, etc. So I've always said that keep me in the fold, keep me in the arms of the creator. And so then that led me to the connection of mostly African American people who works with me, and who were also having that discussion about spirituality. So right away on
Yeah.
that year, I was already engaged with people who like searching for who they are. So I like that resonated to me right away, because I grew up also in that kind of environment. But one, I realized that, wow, they talk about this also in America. So it's like, but I always thought that American people, um, they are churchy people, but I didn't think that they would consider any kind of searching for who they are. So that was quite interesting. And in fact, when they knew that I started to learn more about yoga and meditation, they think I'm a little strange. They would always say, "So do you follow a guru? Do you follow?" Well, that was like all their question. But not all Filipinos were like that, because I came here with Filipino nurses. Most of us come as a group. So
Oh,
now, so, but the exchange, I feel that there was already a search of the, that was the environment, that was the era. Now, did that led to the new age? Maybe. So, but one thing I'm always seeing that the environment tends to bring up something from each of us. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, it's up to us to follow what's coming out from
that.
ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about when you said the word bias. I have a bias, but that bias helps me
Yeah.
at times.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's hard not to have a bias. Like I'm very biased when it comes to health. Like when
Yeah.
I say that, that I always say you can create your health. You have to you that has to begin from you. So even before there was this talk of jab and everything, I know my bias already. I from have being pregnant, raising what I want to do. So that's a bias. But hey,
Yeah.
that helped me. That helped my son. It doesn't matter if they call me biased. But when I gave birth to my child, because I have a different health lifestyle, most of my coworkers wanted to see how my child is because I think they have never seen someone pregnant with strict certain health rules.
Yeah.
So they were curious how my son would be. So such as life, So yeah, I and everything that I get involved in, I don't forget that there's a spirituality in that sense all the time. And yeah, so when you talk about, yeah, there's solutions, that's the thing that makes me made me stop listening or following others. Maybe
Yeah.
during the pandemic I was following them because anyone who talks the about this pandemic, anyone who's on my side, I follow, I listen, I invite them. Okay,
Yeah.
that was clear. If because it again, I found myself with my friends, even holistic nurses, holistic other
Yeah.
professionals amongst me, who were the first one who didn't see what was going on. So anyway, forget that then. So I focus on but then when the Ukraine and Russia happened, I, it was my idea with in my podcast that I said, no, we have to start talking about this. So I initiated to get out of the topic of the vax because for
Yeah.
me that's related. So yeah, I get of that. But I realized some of the alternative media and other people talking about the jab, for me, they're not seeing the real thing that's happening in the Ukraine war and other things. So, especially, I don't know,
Yeah.
I still believe that there's a solution, and I can't just be listening to everything is just so bad about what's happening. I know it's bad, but that's it. I have to see that glimmer of light, the glimmer of the
Yeah.
solution, which is that spark is very important. So that's how I just kind of always negotiate. So anyway, it's good. So every time I can be in the live stream, I will always check my number one thing that I check will be XF's Telegram. So the
Yeah.
first,
Same.
so
Yeah.
then I
Same.
see you there. I see everyone there. I'm happy with it. I see Matthew. I see,
Yeah.
you know,
Everybody's there.
correct, right, and
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like if people you invite people in, if they don't want to come in, then we have to sort of just bring the information out and integrate it with our own contributions and thoughts and such. And as you were talking about the switch from the jab to the Ukraine Russia war, it made me think about how I use both of those points as reference for recognizing hypocrisy in mainstream media. And my friends on the other side of the aisle, as they say, or just people on Facebook that post, it's the hypocrisy that is also fascinating to me from a sociology behavioral perspective, is that, do you not remember, if people are talking about, their rights being taken away, like, for example, the No Kings protest or something, like this authoritarianism, their rights are being taken away. It's like, were you not there when, and they're worried about Jimmy Kimmel getting silenced when you just gave an example of how you were actually silenced and deplatformed. So, and then also too, just now they're saying, what about all this money that Trump is giving to Argentina? Shouldn't we be investing in our own citizens? And it's like, weren't you guys there for 2 years when our Congress was waving the Ukraine flag and having Zelensky come and speak and address our Congress and basically ask for money? So just that hypocrisy there is fascinating. I'd prefer it to come to a head to where it's more in alignment with, not so divided, because people just can't think well. So they don't, they missed, I guess, all these other things that you were following that I was following. It's like, don't you know about Ukraine? So do you find that in the real world, or even just as you're reading things online?
I think we could only keep trying, Nikki, even accept. You can just be there and share your thoughts and your perceptions and your whole life to others. And
Yeah.
to whoever that resonates, they will just gravitate it. And from that little spark, then that
Yeah.
spark of consciousness that will oscillate, right? That reminds me of, like, last Sunday. Usually, I'm in New York on a cafe, waiting for George to come from the martial arts, and it was so long already. I said, I wonder what happened, but he likes to talk too. So I said, what happened? He said, well, I'm talking to this, friend. I said, I guess you wasted your time. He said, yeah, because they're talking about, okay, what happened in the recent election, you see,
Yeah.
recent election in New York. So that's what happened. I said, sometimes I said, I don't have a lot of energies to just keep explaining to people, of everything that's happening. However, sometimes I said, maybe you should let him talk to me. But I say that because now, do you see how my bias is coming? Because
Yeah.
I know George is Caucasian. He's one. And then, and he's talking to someone who is of African American heritage. And I'm Filipino. So I'm in that category of color.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I said, maybe you should let him talk to me, because I think we're going to find an easier agreement somewhere there. So anyway, I just kind of laugh. I said, wow, you have so much energy to do that. So that's what,
Yeah.
you and I experience, and XF and all the others. And I remember during that, not this election, the previous year, and it's not really, we had to focus our energy on the like-minded, and then strengthen more our strategy on
Yeah.
those. We can feel it when someone is ready to listen,
Yeah.
then they will listen. Or
Yeah.
when someone is ready to really pivot to that truth that they have to understand, then they'll listen. And yeah, I always say, well, people, if they don't really, once you have the TDS, it's just
Yeah.
hard. It's just
There
hard.
it is.
No matter
It's
what he does, no matter what someone, one of the people, I belong to the National Arm Movement, the National American Renaissance Movement in New Jersey. So
okay.
he ran for, and one of the board members ran for a position. But we tease him, and he said, "So what do they say? What do they say when you knock at their doors and they know what party do you belong?" But anyway, we just started laughing because I'm very proud of you. You're so courageous. Go for it. You know.
I
So
know. Yeah.
once you once in a while, he said he'll run into someone who's really appreciative of what he's doing, you know. And of course he'll say, "Wow, those senior centers, they're really very fancy. I think the Dems really had a good idea to reach out to the seniors and make things very fancy." I says, "I
Yeah.
know, huh? They're so high tech in some senior places in New Jersey."
What else is going on in New Jersey? Yeah, I was gonna say they're voter. Yeah, those are voters in those areas there in the nursing
Well,
homes and
yeah. Well, if you ask my opinion about the recent election, not
yeah,
that my opinion matters, but I knew it. You know, it was it's been blue state for all those years,
right.
and however, I knew that from the algorithms of my computer, it seems like, the Chadarelli was doing so good in a lot
I
of.
see.
Okay, I see that, and
Okay.
Kevin Jenkins' wife was a candidate in North Jersey, so I see them doing so good in.
Yeah.
Well, but I think most, half of New Jersey, especially those who supported Trump, have those glimmer of hope that it will change.
Yeah.
But obviously, more work has to be done, you know. But we don't have a lot of them. So the Dems think that the new kings influence it. There was not a lot of people who even came to Princeton. Some now and then, they twice I think I've seen them do the No Kings rally. There was not a lot of people who came there, so. And then one time we were in a meeting, and New Jersey Stands Up. That's another organization belonging to Jersey. So New Jersey, when it comes to freedom movement, is New Jersey folks are alive. It has maybe just a better strategy, but they're alive. So the meeting continues. So when we were in that place and someone asked one of us, he said, "Are you here for the No Kings rally?" And we said, "No." And then we said, "Oh, we better hurry up and leave right away and do the meeting." So,
Yeah,
hmm.
that's I was wondering about New Jersey, and I know that with because they with not just Moms for Liberty, but the MAHA movement. I mean, the medical freedom movement. I mean, there were a number of pockets that I saw coming out of the state of people who were not, they were they were advocating against the mandates and such like that, which is just so counter to the No Kings as what they want to present it to be as their big revolution or whatever.
And New Jersey still has that religious freedom for the jab. So that has to be protected.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the pride and joy of the New Jersey people. And and listening to all the history, the right history, Nikki, from XF and Matthew, I realized New Jersey, as small as a state, is a very interesting state. You
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
good and bad in history, New Jersey is always mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Freehold for one summer. I worked at two different restaurants there. Yeah, he's my husband now, but he was my boyfriend at the time. I lived there for the summer with him. So that was my big. I even the 3 months I was working there, I have some tales to tell. There, it was in yeah, that's Manalapan County. But yeah, it's just people going to the Jersey Shore and such. Yeah, I wonder how I would experience that differently now as opposed to. I mean, then I was 20. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I was 20 or 21, just living the
Yeah.
life or whatever. Who knows what we were doing? So, but yeah. So it's but and it's with it being so close to New York and the just the different demographics there. It'll be yeah. I don't think it came as a huge surprise, but like you said, that people were thinking maybe there would be a chance, but it inevitably didn't come as a huge shock that it was a blue that it went for Kamala in 2024. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't that big of a surprise.
More work needs to be done.
Yeah.
And as we both know that even in the, MAGA movement, because Trump is just very unique as a leader and as a
Right.
statesman. So, everyone could be confused with him. But patient and I think Americans also don't have a lot of patience as we
Yeah.
should. But like people forget that these things didn't happen overnight, didn't
Yeah.
happen just in the last year or 2 years. So how could one expect? That's the same thing. I always look at as just your health. There's just things that if you have neglected your health, that you can just resolve issue overnight. You
Yeah.
have to really do things. And since you know it has been the enemy is very strong and big and influential, there you have to, as Exev will say, plan in a plan,
Yeah.
and others would say game within a game. Well, it's just, it's very strategic. I don't know if for me, I have a simple mind and a simple understanding, and it's common sense. Why jump into conclusion with a lot of things right away? And yeah, words, or you could say a lot of words, but I say that too, even in before 2020, before this time, when I hear people, or like if I have to follow, let's say someone is teaching about health, I said, if I don't see it in you, I'm not going to listen to you, because
Yeah.
it has to be how your actions or how you live your life. And so don't talk to me about that if that help doesn't emanate you. So there's always like that,
Yeah.
that's always the case. So I know with people, and then of course, everything connects to everything, right?
Yeah.
So like, and more so that I'm learning more and more now. In fact, just I don't know the whole details, but at one point I saw that they were having some kind of regime change that's happening in the Philippines, and
Oh.
I don't know so much about that, but I would ask my sister. So he said, does it is it really? Oh, and then she would say, oh yeah, there's a big rally and all that. So I said, well, be careful. Okay, is it very organized? Is it like all this? Is it suddenly
Yeah.
there's this kind of, so yeah, and it was happening not too long ago. And then, of course, I don't know if this was um, an AI meme, and I saw Trump saying, "Oh, so Filipinos, I heard about the corruption going on there. So I heard some of you wants me to make you as a state. Would you like to be a state? So you tell me." So it's like
Oh my gosh.
that.
I mean, I think that. Do you think it was AI then?
Like, yeah, all I know is, yeah, at one time, that was already a talk when I was still young, and there
Yeah.
that the Philippines, and that never really happened. And um, uh, although it's so confusing, one thing I know is we're still heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
As people forget, people are very hard on him, and that's good. So
Yeah.
that we, all of us, even President Trump and all of the people he appointed, will really be on their straight, you know, exploration that's good for people, for the citizen. But it has to be. They have to really. People have to remember what happened in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, people have to do that. If we forget where we've been, and then how can we keep moving forward? And I know it. I know there's so many nefarious people and events, but there's also good ones that are happening. And I'm just glad that we're in the good side right now, and that's what we have to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that I think that we're on the right track here, and to remember and have that perspective. And things are just happening. I think XF said yesterday things are happening so fast and nothing's happening, or something that was sort of, but really, uh the things that didn't happen, the timelines that didn't manifest, but the worst case scenarios that didn't happen, and having that perspective that, I mean, I believe that we're on the best timeline, and having that optimism, but recognizing that we don't know all the things that could have happened that didn't. And yeah, just looking for the positive and being able to recognize it, and then it being supported in the things that we see. Like the government shutdown was I think they're saying the longest that it was in the history of the country. And now they're reopening it, and they got some Democrats to come to their side and such. And all the different facets of why that's beneficial for programs not being funded. There are benefits to the government shutdown, and so hope, but how people look at it so differently. Like oh, it's the Republicans, oh, it's the Democrats, or oh, it's Trump. But I'm optimistic that it was actually a positive thing, and that it will shake it out. And it doesn't always make sense to us what is going on exactly, but having that perspective of how far we've come.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't make sense now. Maybe we
Right.
don't see it, and sometimes we're too busy to pause,
Right.
okay, to see it. So then, but eventually it would. As they said, sometimes I always remember that we could be, well, we ask too many questions. That's good, but then we don't pause to listen.
Yeah.
We don't pause to listen. It's the same thing as when you're asking for, guidance, and you were so busy talking and complaining about something. And yeah, so but I that's how so when I go home to the Philippines, because
Yeah.
most of them, they see CNN and everything. So that I like it when I can come home and then have the conversation with them. And that I get biased, so I explain to them, and was most of them, they do listen, because they said, oh, so our family is like this also. I said, yeah, yeah, and then the last time I went home, they thought Filipinos are being mugged here,
Oh.
right?
Oh.
So whatever they're hearing and seeing in the
Yeah.
TV. So they thought that. I said, no, no. I said, the Filipinos are one of the most loved immigrants there. So I
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
so you don't believe that. Don't
Yeah.
believe. I said, a lot of the things you see are not true in the news.
Yeah.
So one time when, okay, so when I was there, when, remember that Zelensky and JD Vance and Trump, the one that became
Oh,
so viral.
yes. Yeah.
So it's perfect. So they saw that in the CNN, but I saw it in a different. So I showed it to them, both of them. I said, you see, there's a difference. Okay, if you just see this,
Yeah.
and then I saw it in Telegram in another one. So see, there's a difference. So it's up to, don't believe everything that you see.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I love that you brought that up, because that's such a great example. I was thinking of an example of, the Democrat media was showing the picture of Trump when that pharmaceutical exec passed out, and they were just making Trump look bad because he was standing at the desk. And and I would interpret it as, he was, I mean, I watched the whole thing. He was very concerned. Dr. Oz said he spoke to the wife afterwards. He was very concerned. and he was just doing his presidential thing, staying calm, organizing the room. But the Democrat media was making it out to be like he was just this uncaring, dictator who could care less about this. And it's just so dramatic. So exactly how you were saying is that you're looking at it you could both be looking at the same photo, and depending upon the messaging that you're getting, interpret it completely differently. And that was such an iconic photo too, of Trump and Zelensky and Vance. That's a good one. That will go down in the books for sure. And I often wonder too, if this is going to be part of the media literacy program in the future, when our generations, we as the victors, we will write the history books, and this is how the future generation will look at media literacy and be like, these were the two stories being told about this. But that actually reminds me of what XF says about objective journalism, is that the story is in the frame, and there's all of these things going on around it. And, depending upon the bias, but also the way it's framed, is how people interpret it. And you could be looking at, and all of these things can be going on, but depending upon how it's proposed to somebody. And we're seeing that so overtly with this virtual reality experience, just like your family was saying that they watched it on CNN. So, but it's important, I think, too, for us to look at all those different sides so that we can have those conversations and be like, I get what you're saying. Like, I heard that messaging too.
Yeah. Sometimes, yes, I do too, but I don't I don't have a lot of time that I don't go out searching for it, Nikki,
Yeah.
because I said no, I have too much of it already. I will say
Yeah.
no, but if I keep, okay, now this is my bias, but if I keep hearing it, like let's say from XF and all that, this kind of interview, or not our interview or conversation, but like this one, like lately, then I will go search it and look
Yeah.
for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that you just did Marjorie,
Yes.
okay, so I like that, but I had that in my head already, that as soon as I get a chance, I'll look at it. So as soon as I get the chance, so like for Nick Fuentes and and Tucker Carlson, so I'll look for it also. That wouldn't like be my priority, but
Yes.
I would do that thing. Yeah. Okay, so depends on how, and sometimes I may just watch a little bit and then stop it, because it's like it's annoying me too much.
Too much. I know it's too much. I can't keep up. I can't keep track. It's the amount of information that we have access to. It's just, I can't. I can't. You can't watch everything. You can't keep up on it. And if we do it for research purposes, we might go ahead and watch the whole interview, like you said, with Nick and Tucker, just to see just so like we can call out the lies, because there's just so many things being said, and so stuff like that. But yeah, I there's so many things that go unwatched. Yeah.
Yeah, and then an example again, or for me, in terms of like, I still enjoy going to the movie now
Yeah.
and then, just so I could have a different activity. So, but there's this one movie that it was too much of very graphic, that
Yeah.
I said I have to step out. I said I
Oh,
know it
really?
already.
Yeah.
So I step out from my company. I said I'm going outside. I think I have enough.
Oh,
I know it. I understand, and it's all again about what happened in Germany. I said how many times more, you know? And of course, now and then I will be really upset. I said, I don't see any movie showing what happened in Gaza. You see how,
yeah.
how that is so unfair. You keep showing this, and now this one. Do I see any? So I'm like, oh, that's enough. I literally, now what I learned from myself for that, Nikki, is that was my reaction right away, but I want to be strong enough that even if I'm in that situation,
Yeah.
I would not let it affect me. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what all of us should really, because we could be in any event, because I don't avoid people who are jab. I am
Yeah.
social.
Yeah. Right.
People
Yeah.
are so scared about vax shedding. I'm
Right.
gonna die if I don't socialize. It's
Yeah.
just me. So I have to be strong enough to remember that I'm strong enough to be in that situation and in that crowd, because
Yeah.
I do hug people and all that, and I don't let that vax shedding make me fearful. I take care again of myself in between. So the same thing as what's happening in our country, right? Or
Yeah.
so yeah, all of this, they're already here. They're already nefarious people, doing stuff, and that we have to be aware. But once we are aware, we don't
Yeah.
even. I learned something. We don't even have to protect. We just have
Yeah.
to train ourselves and to remember that we are strong, and we will not be affected to the point that we lose our mind and we lose our conscience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you're saying not having to do this sort of protective, uh, I don't know what word I'm looking
I
for.
think if we keep thinking that we have to protect and protect, I like
Yes.
that's again it's a different mentality now,
That's
right?
right. Yes.
We're like, are we a victim? Are we weak? Are
Right.
we
Like, what do we have to protect ourselves from? And yeah.
correct? Correct. So then you go do about your life. That's good for you, and just expect that as okay. I imagine myself that I have a big hologram and a big orb of morphogenetic frequencies
Yeah.
that can I can make it flow if
Yeah.
I have to, but all in resonance to my being.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that now, so I said that's my lesson for that,
Yeah.
for myself. So basically, whenever I'm in a situation, and again, I say this to Americans, we're so good to pointing all the blame to others, or
Yeah.
like yeah, like all the blame to Trump, all
Yeah.
the blame to this, but
Yeah.
we can't even look within. So we again pause, then maybe we get the answer, you know. So it's just very interesting that just and it now the question, I guess, Nikki, for me is why is it that like you and I and a few of our people, some of our people, we see it and others don't. I guess now
Yeah.
that's a whole different discussion, that it has a lot of things from our childhood or whatever. But definitely, one common thing is when you're so exposed in that educational system forever and ever, you get your living there, you get all your projects and this and that. I think that's like ingrained in your DNA that it's hard to see. Hard to see what.
Yeah, absolutely. I ask that all the time, and do people know, especially people in the media, do they know? Do they think that it's the ends that justifies the means? Are they true believers, or are they just, that sort of a thing? And then yeah, like how come people, and yeah, it's still a working question, I think, with
Yeah, and then earlier when you brought the word timeline, when
yeah,
I hear timelines, I always think it's multi-dimensional
yes,
timeline. So it's it's when some people always think timeline is just linear.
right,
No, so that's why things could be happening so fast and yet not happening as
right,
except that, okay? Because
yes,
it's so multi-dimensional and so complex.
yes,
That then we allow ourselves to be still.
hmm,
So that's why I like it when I don't mind not seeing except on the face when I'm listening to
yeah,
in Telegram.
yeah,
For me, just kind of like listen to the words more
right,
than words and the frequency, and then when he could just take his time. And
yes,
by the way, and again, a compliment for his platform is I like that everyone who has the time is
Yeah.
engaged, like you, who could help him and said, oh, search this one, do this one. Oh, did you remember this? So I
Yeah.
like that also. And but for me, he's just such a hidden person. I know when if he really likes to be out there, it will happen.
Yeah.
When I see other podcasts, wow, there are like 500 people listening, 600 people listening,
Yeah.
but not, but the content is not as good as
Yeah.
but it's beyond the word good. It's just that it makes so much sense and resonates to consciousness, to source consciousness, not just individual consciousness, but source consciousness, to God source. That I like that. I can sense that. But definitely, I like when he posts music too. Not that I like all the music, but it's just like, oh, let's do this. Yes.
Yeah. It's very poignant and it's very direct to, yeah. And it definitely resonates. And, yeah. And I think that maybe that'll be like, I mean, it's niche, but also I think as we keep moving along this journey of humanity, then the awakening only goes one direction and everybody gets fed in their different ways. And then, um, yeah, it makes so much sense to me. So I would love that too, because you see people that they can't put their finger on it. They know this isn't right or they're upset about this, but people can't put their finger on exactly what. And so I think it's fun to do. It's fun to contribute in this way to ideas and spending time with ideas, and like you said, taking time with the content and the ideas, and even ourselves. Like that's what we can journal, or like if you gave yourself a couple hours to explore different ideas or like your own beliefs and thought patterns associated with a specific topic, you could create something that you hadn't expected. That's like art, just spending that time with the tools and the medium and an audience, I guess, that is co-creating there with you. That it really is such a gift. And I think that we're only getting started. I know that Trump has said the best is yet to come, but I really do believe that.
I did expect everything that's happening. When I say I did expect the chaos and the challenges that
Yeah.
he's going to meet, and us, you know, i- if they tried so hard for him not to be back, they
Right.
will try everything. I can only hope and I can only pray that nothing happens to him. You know,
Right.
just that's the main thing is right now, because it's so important, it's so crucial that we get through at least the first year, and then
Yeah.
that's just the beginning. Just like again, when we detox, we go
Yeah.
through a difficult time
Mhm.
first. You could can throw up and everything, all that make you so weak, makes you so disgusted of your life because you're sick or something. And then but when we continue, and in that in that symptoms, when you detox, one can adjust your ways. Like, okay, maybe you had too much of this turmeric. Maybe you had too much of,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and I know that he is very smart to know that he expected people to not just say yes to the tariff. Why not? Why give him all the leeway? So people, those who trusted him to help him come back, just wait and do your thing for your family, and don't add to more confusion, because that's what maybe
Right.
did help people go out for the recent election, and that has to change again for next time. So I always have to just make it smaller to what I know as a family. The same thing as I still remember, Nikki, when I first came here, and people didn't even believe that America had a history of really being very oppressive to another countries. They don't, listen to that. I said, no, you don't know. And that, but now, because of that pandemic and because of that conversation, wow, people, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
okay to have a conversation with the Americans like that already. Although others is still just forgot all about they were talking about with me and the job in 1980s. And they suddenly hate maybe Robert Kennedy. I said, did you forget that this is
Right.
what you've been talking to me of that one? So then, of course, at the end, I will still tell him in Facebook, I still love you,
Yeah.
even if we don't see eye to eye.
Yeah. Like I don't want to
Anymore.
fight.
I said, I'm still the same Grace who you met, who knows about the job before. I just connected it with other things. So
Yeah.
just all remember that. And I want to share with you that even in the Philippines, I was involved with um, activists, and we studied our history, which I think maybe some of us also was history. When I say history, like we had a separate booklet, not the mainstream, and we will spend hours and hours and talking back. You have to do your self study to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. In fact, just as we both always say, it's an interesting time. I've never been so interested to study more about American history, which it was so not taught to us. We had an American history subject in the Philippines. We had
Oh,
a history, US history in high school, which that wasn't very interesting to me.
yeah.
I passed it, of course, but could you imagine if I learned more about this now? And and being an immigrant, I could speak highly why I understand what Trump is doing. I
Yeah.
do understand about that EBT and SNAP, because I have friends who, you know, even when they're married, they're really smart because they didn't they didn't even declare themselves married, so they can continue to get all the benefits for
Right.
as a single mother. You
Yep.
see how crazy the situation here. So, if situations like that happen, I mean, we came to America because I thought I'm gonna get what the American system got
Yeah.
from my country. So I truly
Yeah.
said to myself, I'm going there. Finally, I'm going there, but I didn't come here right away. I was dedicated to my indigenous medicine and stayed there while all my classmates here. But I said, let me come here and now get my share, get my share, but all by legal process and everything. So I know you have to do it in legal process.
Yeah.
Everything should. It's not that you and when you're given a chance to do it legally, and then
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's related to the economy as well, and the job opportunities, and I mean it's a whole. Yeah, I mean I've learned so much over the last couple years because I had no idea. So you moved here in, you said
80,
1984, 85.
19 in New York, and that was the time where just before that too, there was a lot of Filipino nurses are being hired, and so Alex Craner and Drago and Matt had a conversation not too long ago, and Alex was saying on how in what country anyway, someone who was recruiting from he they just realized that the recruiter, the company is being paid.
Uh-huh.
When you I said, well, that's been going on long time ago. The same
Yeah.
thing as in the Philippines. When corporations go and hire the Filipinos there, and Filipino nurses especially, they're being paid. And but other people don't know. Yes, there's always a difference of pay when we come here. I'm a nurse from the Philippines. If a nurse comes from UK, it's a different pay. We all start at the same year, different pay. You
Yeah.
see, yeah, but I didn't have that animosity towards that person coming from America. All I know, it was the crazy system. It was not a
Yeah.
fair system, but you work your butt through until you just work hard to do your thing. And of course, now we know that I know more that it's by design. So then you go through that. And and when I say, oh, that one thing that I learned also in all these years, Nikki, is that before, I think, um, except I mentioned it in one of the streams, and when you have that orientation, they teach you that in the underground study that I had in the Philippines, like I had an impression and an understanding that all people who are wealthy became wealthy because they took advantage of the poor.
Yeah.
That's basically like bottom line. So
Yeah.
like, anyway, but then, I come to America, and then my friends, one of my best friend is a Jewish guy, and he was my best support. It was like a big brother to me.
Yeah.
Okay, really nice. And they had a restaurant, and all the people that who works for him, he looked after them. But then when that 9/11 happened, and I didn't know much, I just received some information. I passed it on to him,
Yeah.
not knowing that that was for 1 year he stopped talking to me.
Ah,
So,
how-
saying all this like this by design, and like,
yeah.
I felt, but then we got together again after a year, because I think, and I don't know, but all I know is we got together again because he knows I knew his mom, and his mom was kind of, I think she passed away. So, but those kind of information like can break your friends, for your
Yeah.
friendship, your
It's
relation,
true.
etc.,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah, but all by design. But one thing is, the one thing that I remember in indigenous, my indigenous and background is that when a problem is there always a solution, and a solution doesn't have to be very aggressive, or it not a solution to separate you. That's, I guess that's what I mean. It could, it's a solution, because other alternative media, that's why I don't listen to them anymore,
Right.
is because there's no solution. I said, what the
Right.
heck? What the heck? There's no solution, so I'm doomed in living in America. So
Right. Yeah, we're all screwed.
I won't take that. I won't entrain that in my field. I'm not screwed.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
isn't that, yeah, that's the same thing you were talking about with the, the victimhood mindset, but having the mindset of having to be protected from something, that there's always an aggressor, um, that, but right. So if your premise is that we're doomed, and then you find all of this evidence to support that we're doomed, then you're right. We're doomed. But if you believe that everything is working out in our favor and we are guided and protected, then you will find evidence to support that, and that's how you will build your world. That's how you'll co-create moving forward.
yes, and it's not that it will just be given to you in a golden platter.
Right.
Now and then, I'm sure each of us have that experience, and I know for a fact, for me, where I always say that when I search for something, it comes to me, and
Yeah.
that's because I always say, don't give it to me too far away, because
Yeah.
like,
Right.
and this is literally to something from far away. I can drive, but I'm not crazy to drive far. So when I want something, it comes to me. I said, oh, so that meditation group, I could just walk. I never knew I could walk to that place.
Yes.
So what that's what I mean is
Like
something. Then suddenly, like,
yeah.
oh, I was looking for a Spanish class for my son when he was growing up. Suddenly, something opened right on
Yeah.
2 blocks away from me. You see, I don't have to drive him anymore. So when you see things, when you say things like that, and also you have to work on it. That's all. You work
Yeah.
on it. It's not just that you say it and you believe. It's more than also believing. You have to really like maybe imagine it, visualize it, that it
Yeah.
comes to you. Then it will be there. So it's no, yeah, each one have to do their own part in their own little way. And this one is another. I'm sorry, I'm giving a little what I remember. Okay, so when I first came here, I was worried, of course, about my family in the Philippines. Then my first um, guidance before, or my first good friend was he was an African shaman. So he said, instead of worrying too much, why don't I take care of myself here? And that frequency, that good things that's happening to me will, if affect them. So that's what I did. So,
Yeah.
especially when I'm worrying about if about their health, and I have to be healthy here so that they can be healthy there.
Yeah.
And that works for my family. Okay. And for me, I guess that's why that's why I appreciate XF and other
Yeah.
people who are Americans living in other countries,
Yeah.
because they care so much about.
Yes.
Okay, that's one thing. They didn't really like forget about those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as I care about the Philippines. But since I live here, so I know some of them may say that, I don't care maybe about them. I said, no. First of all, if I count my years, I'm living in United States now more than the years there. So this is my second home. And I
Yeah.
understand that. So I'm not trying to neglect, you know, my original teachings from my ancestors. I just add on to the teachings of the founding fathers. That's most important.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, on that note, that's just like such a nice connection and bridge of um just the way that you described it, of coming from your homeland and your new land, and just being mindful and living in both places, but being mindful of how there's meaning in both of those, that um, and then like people like XF that's from the US that aren't living here but care very much still about the people and the future of the US, and our people. Is there anything, like, in the next couple minutes here? Is there anything that we want to, or that you would like to sort of just wrap up with?
Well, I just like when we started our conversation, that it's about coming together,
Yeah.
not isolating ourselves, not isolating anyone. Okay, and in time, we will come together if we do it intentionally more and more. And that doesn't mean that we always have to be the same. No, to the same thoughts, the same thinking, same likes. No, it's wonderful to be different, but we could co-create, harmonically live with each other. My picture of a beautiful civilization or community is like the wildflowers. For it's like they're all different wildflowers, and yet they're all like shining all together. So I thought that would be good for us in this time of crisis, and it's really a blessing. It's such a blessing. I want to see the end of it, but if it's not my time to see it, but please let me see the beginning. That's all. Let me
Yeah.
see the beginning, then let me be inspired, and let me so I take care of my health so that I could see the even the beginning, etc. And I'm really blessed again when you have that sincere intention. You really attract to you the people, the content, the books, the videos that are meant for you to grow more. Now, once in a while, and if you use your um, inner wisdom and intelligence in discernment, you can sharpen that,
Yeah.
sharpen it a lot. and then that's it. You avoid too much confusion and distortion. You're not, you won't, we won't be like immune to it, but we carry on. Carry
Yeah,
the torch.
we absolutely carry the torch. Thank you so much. I included your Rumble link for your podcast in the description, and I'm just so thankful that you came on and we had a chance to talk. And I hope we can definitely do it again. You're such a beautiful person, and I just appreciate you. And thank you.
Well, thank you to Nikki, and thank you to your viewers, and thank you to XF, and for being the link between the two of us. And of course, you're always welcome to mine. I love. You could be a co-host, you could be a guest, whatever you want to do. I always welcome everyone, especially when I know they're in that quantum morphogenetic frequency that will help us be in the right resonance. Okay, so
Right. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.